Hi, this is Dr. Rhonda Alexander, and welcome to the introduction of the Lean Startup Method. We're going to be talking about a abbreviated way of creating a business plan. It is very popular in modern entrepreneurship. It is a way that you can not only start a business very quickly, but it is also the way that you can validate your business idea and also make decisions about how and when or whether to expand or grow or to make certain business decisions. So this hopefully will be very helpful to you. So the things we're going to talk about in this session are the following. We're going to talk about the methodology, where it came from, who originated it. We're going to talk about its principles, the key to lean startup, the introduction to the business model canvas, and then we're going to talk about the phases of the lean startup. So lots of information to cover in this course. So let's start here with the lean startup methodology. It was created by a person named Eric Ries, who published this theory or this method in the Lean Startup. It's a book that you actually can Google and download copies of, or you can get it out of your local library if you'd like. It is defined as an institution of people organized to make new products or services in incredibly uncertain times. So the lean startup methodology helps you to think through your business in terms of who you're serving and the conditions under which you'll be serving that clientele, rather than your personal assumptions, your personal feelings about the business. You will be able to take what you believe about the business, use the lean startup methodology to test whether you're accurate. And then as you go, you can revise the information within the model canvas, which we'll discuss later on, to make sure that you have the most accurate picture of how your business is supposed to run, what problem you're solving, who you're reaching, the value you're adding, all of those things. So it is a very important and very handy tool that bridges the gap between innovation and normal business models. So in previous times, if you had a business, you create this business plan, you set the business up, you build all the stuff, you get the building and you get all the tools, and then you have to convince people that they want whatever it is that you're selling, right? That's the old way of doing business. The lean business model basically flips that on its head. It's basically find out what the market wants, and then you build what they want, right? So you complete this canvas and you actually are able to create a business that is based on the demand of the market. So there are 5 principles of the lean startup. The first is that entrepreneurs are everywhere, right? People can think up business ideas at any time. Entrepreneurs, the word entrepreneur basically depicts something that originates from the concept of creating something new. So if you're able to conceptualize something, you have ideas of how to make things better, how to make things different, right? We talk about the word innovation in terms of either doing something old a new way, or doing something altogether new, right? So that's innovation. And people are always thinking about how they can do things better or different. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is a business, but the fact that people are always thinking about how things can be done differently or better means that entrepreneurs are everywhere. Now, whether they turn into actual business owners and people who are successful entrepreneurs is a whole different subject, but people who are thinking about how we can do things in novel ways are everywhere. Entrepreneurship is about management. It's a way to manage the provision of a new idea, the birth of a new idea. It's a way of managing the disruption of an industry. It's a way of disrupting the way people think. and the way that they do business. If you think of any of the businesses that have emerged over the last, say, 10 years, when you talk about the social media platforms, and you talk about the shared, the ride share companies, and the ability to do video conferencing, and all of the things that have kind of emerged, these are all ways that our industry, our society has been managed. So not only is it a way of managing ideas and thoughts, it also manages our society. It has an impact. It controls or influences the way people think and do business. Entrepreneurship, or the lean startup, is also about validated learning. So you're not just kind of peeing in the wind. When you are working with the lean startup, you are validating your assumptions. So you might think that the market wants heated hairbrushes, and you want to start a business that way, a business providing heated hairbrushes. And so you create this assumption, you create a business plan based on this assumption. And when you go to the market, you find that people actually do. People say, when you ask them, hey, what is your biggest problem when you brush your hair? And people say, I wish it was heated. Then you go, oh, bing, it's validated, right? We're starting to validate our beliefs, or validating the assumptions that we're making. So every step of the way, you're validating whether your solution fits the problem. You're validating whether you're adding value to your customer. You're validating whether you think your customers are where you assume they are. They may be on Instagram or Facebook. You may be assuming that they're in person and they're actually more willing to communicate with you or buy from you or interact with your business online. So you're always learning, right? You use this methodology to learn constantly. And then it gives you accountability for innovation. You don't get to just go off the rails. You always have to come back to that business model canvas and assess whether or not the the problem that you're solving, whether or not you're still on track, whether or not you're still solving that problem. So if you look at your canvas, and you see your problem is X and your solution is Y, or maybe your company's vision is to do certain things, you can always go back and look at, are we serving this problem? Right? Are we doing the things that bring value to our customers? So you always have a way of coming back to hold yourself accountable. And essentially what this startup is about is building, measuring, learning, and then building some more. So you build a prototype, you kind of hypothesize about what you want the solution to be. You build a prototype, you learn, you measure what people are thinking about the product, either in early sales or interviews, and you learn from that information, and you get that, bring it back, you decide whether or not you need to pivot, whether or not you continue building. It's all based on what you learn as you go. So testing the business idea is a really, really important part of the lean startup process. And that's actually one of the tools that we provide in this course, is the testing the business idea. You want to make sure that before you spend $1 million on a warehouse and marketing and your final product, and you have all of the skin in the game, only to find that what you're offering to the market isn't something that people find as valuable as you thought they would, or to find that it's not something people want at all. And so now you're spending all this marketing trying to convince people that this is something that they want, when you didn't ask them in the first place, hey, what do you want? So what we tell people to do is, when they start to conceptualize their business, is to build the minimum viable product, the MVP. That is something that is sometimes a website, sometimes it's just a prototype, maybe an app, or a drawing, or something to give people an idea of what they're anticipating bringing to market. This is a way that customers get the opportunity to see what the concept is and to give the entrepreneur feedback to say, hey, this is something I think would work. But maybe if you put those buttons over here, it probably would be more beneficial. Or if you made it larger or smaller, right? So they start to get feedback from the customers before they have an actual prototype or a actual handheld or a tangible product that they're actually going to be using. So you want to get people um, giving you giving you feedback and input to make sure that you're giving them what they want. And at the same time, when you're doing that, you're building interest in the product, right? So people see that you're building this thing that they had impact on, that they said to you that I want. So now they're a part of your circle. They're a warmer lead. And it makes life easier when it's time to begin marketing down the road. So once you get that information from your customers, you have to analyze it and find out, how can I integrate what people said the most about my my product? How can I evolve to bring to the market what the market has asked for? Right. So it's not really about your ego. It's not really about you as the business owner bringing your brainchild to work to it's not about bringing your brainchild to the table or to the market. People, they will think, oh, that's a really great idea. But so as an entrepreneur, when you're in this lean startup, you really do have to put your ego to the side, because it's not about the idea that you want to bring to the market. It's about, how can I take my idea and incorporate it to what the market wants, and then bring that to life, right? So you use that data to create something that the market wants. You look at, like I said, you look at what they want, you look at your solution, and then you see, how can I either pivot, integrate, or if I have to stop altogether and create something new, or if the market says, I don't want this, right? That happens. Sometimes we discover the market just doesn't want this. And so then the entrepreneur has to decide whether to modify their solution or to terminate altogether and start over with something else based on the feedback that they've received from the market. Because if this is a legitimate problem that needs a solution, and the solution that the entrepreneur is offering that people either don't want or they don't want to pay for, if they're testing their business idea, when they get feedback from the market, from their potential customers, even though they may have said, we don't want what you have thought up, but we do want something else. Well, now you may have a general idea of what the market really wants, and maybe why they don't want what you intended to offer in the first place. So this is a really, really important part of starting a business. And I think it's very, very valuable for entrepreneurs, because they have to put their own egos and ways of thinking and assumptions, their egos and assumptions. They have to put those to the side. So this is a really, really a huge deviation from the days of old when we were starting businesses based on our idea and what we wanted to do. And now we have this new methodology that's wildly popular because it is very, very, very effective. So now we want to move into talking about the lean canvas business model, or you'll hear people talking about the lean business model canvas. It has a number of different names, but essentially this is the lean canvas. When you hear me hear someone else talking about the lean canvas or the business model canvas, this is what they're referring to. So the business model canvas is where you get to do this one-page business plan. So as you can see, we're addressing a problem We're offering a solution. We have how we're going to measure that solution. We have the value proposition, how we're going to reach our customers, who our customer is, what our costs might be, and how we intend to make money. Those are the important things that when you're starting a business, those are the things you need to know, right? It may not be that you can take this business model canvas to a bank and say, hey, give me money, or take it to an investor and say, hey, give me money. But when you want to be able to articulate a business idea, you want to know all of these pieces. And the people who you talk to, whether you're incubating or, attracting partners or whatever the case may be, they want to know, have you thought these things through, right? So we start, most places if you go to different trainings, they have different places where they start. Some people start with the unique value proposition, and they ask, what are you adding with this business you want to start? What are you adding to the customer? How are you making their life better, right? How are you different from everybody else? Right? So what is your value proposition that you're able to provide this product or this service to the market? What is it that makes you different? What is it that makes you better? And why would people choose your business over any other? Right? Because of course, it does, there are lots of there can be lots of players within one industry. You talk about, burger joints or grocery stores, right? Who are your competitors? What makes you different? And why would a customer choose one burger place over another, or one grocery store over another? And so some people, when they're coaching with this canvas, they start here. I personally like to start with the problem and the solution, because I believe that when you have a really great fit between your problem and your solution, that is part of your value proposition, that you meet a need in a way that somebody else in the market may not. So I like to have clients state the problem that they believe exists out there. What is the problem that you see that is out there, right? Now, this is essentially a hypothesis at first. And then later on, you are able to, once you start testing this idea, then the problem may be redefined by your market, but you start with the problem as you see it. And then you ask, how is this customer solving the problem already? So if this is a problem everybody is having, they have some way of solving the problem. They're bootlegging it, where they're creating their own solution and there just really isn't one. Or there are other players out there in the market who just don't quite make the grade, right? So we want to look at, how is the customer solving their problem already? And then what is the solution that you're proposing to this problem? What are you offering? And what will be your minimum viable product? What can you put in people's hands or in front of them to demonstrate to them that this is something that is reasonable for addressing the problem that the customer is having? So then we do also look again at the value proposition. Now, how are you different? How is the solution that you are offering to the problem different than what's already out there? Then we look at unfair advantage as well. What makes you better or different? What do you have that no one else has? So are you farm to table? Are you, do you have somebody from Apple on your board and you're a software firm? Do you, or is your designer, your software designer, former Google, right? So what unfair advantage do you have? Then when it comes to customer segments, this is another really, really important part, because this is who your target customer is. It's never everybody. Okay. Your customer segment isn't everybody. You might think everybody wants it, but you have to start somewhere, and you have to find that ideal customer. We call them avatars. You want to give them, in some companies, they give them names, and they give them, she lives in this kind of area. She lives in the suburbs. She makes $50,000 a year. She has, so much disposable income. She drives this. She's educated in this way. She has kids. She doesn't have kids. She's a single mom. She's educated. So you give a whole profile of this person that you believe is interested in your product. And it, again, can't be everybody. It has to be narrowed down so that you can target those people when you start your business. So you want to look at who that customer is, and in that customer segment, who is most likely to start using your product first. It might be college students, it might be single moms, right? Out of the women group that there may be, it may be single moms that are between the ages of 25 and 35. Whatever your market is, there may be, in some cases, a subset of people who are more likely to try your product as beta testers, or who would be willing to jump on it first, right? They're first responders or early adopters. Who would those people be? Then we come over to key metrics. What are the signals, the numbers that will tell you how your business is doing? So you don't need those numbers in this space, but what you do need is a list. And it's not just sales. You want to know, are people returning to, will you measure success in your business by the number of times people return? So if you got a product that has to be bought and bought and bought, like batteries or like filters, people have to keep buying them. One of your key metrics will be, do people come back? Because they might use yours once and say, hey, I don't like it. And then they go to another vendor, right? So it might be conversion rates. It could be your churn rate. So you need to know, what are the metrics that is going to let you know how your business is doing. And you may want to do some research on metrics in terms of business health. There's a metric called the R method. And they all start with the letter R, but those are the things, in addition to revenue and retention, those are specific methods, or specific metrics that companies use to determine the health of their business on an ongoing basis. Then the channels, where are your customers, right? We know who the customer is, but where are they? Where are they located? And how will you reach them? Not everybody is on social media, and that's not the only way to market, even though it seems to be the least expensive and it seems to be the easiest. It is not all that there is. There's still other ways that people want to be communicated with, depending on what your business is. And so there are other ways to advertise and to reach your customers. So you want to know, where are they? Are they at the mall? Are they on YouTube? Are they on an app? Are they in a car dealership? Are they sitting on the subway for an hour a day? Where are your customers, and how will you reach them in order to communicate with them? Then your cost structure, we like to list what costs will you face. So we usually start with our startup costs, and we talk about what will be our recurring costs. After we say our recurring costs, we're like, what are fixed costs? What are the things that are going to cost us the same thing every month? Rent, perhaps payroll. Some of those things are fixed costs. Then we have other things that are variable costs. Those are things that might change based on usage, or they change per month. So you'll have some variable costs, and we usually just separate those by list: a list of fixed, and a list of variable, and a list of startup. But you want to make sure that you have a list of what those things will be. Again, we're not looking for numbers here, but we're looking for, what is it going to take to start this business and to run this business? And how will we let other people know these are the kinds of costs that we expect to have? Certainly there will be operating costs, water, sewage, electric, office space, and things of that nature. But there may be specific things, like you may have to have compliance audits, or you may have to have designers, specifically. So, or you may have hosting, website hosting. That might be one of your expenses. So what will your costs be? Either both to make the product and to keep the business running. So you want to have a list of that so you'll know these are all of the things that we possibly will run into while we're running our business. And then we also want to talk about revenue streams. I save that for last, but really that's very, very important, because a business that doesn't make any money is just volunteering. And that's really not what a business is, right? A business is created to generate revenue. And so you want to look at the kinds of strategies that you'll use to make money. Again, we're not talking about estimating how much money you'll make here, but we want to look at how will you charge, for your service or your product. Will it be a subscription? Will it be direct sales? Will there be some sort of premium model or freemium model? Again, you don't need numbers, but you need to know there are lots of different ways to make money now. It's not just, I give you money, you give me a thing, or I give you money and you give me a service. Now there are all kinds of ways, and pay for play is one. There's paywalls in your website and in your content is another. Subscription base is very, very popular now. So looking at what your business is intended to do, how many different ways can you potentially make money for your business? Even if you are selling a product, just let's say you're selling plastic cups, how can you diversify the types of streams that you may be able to generate to create to generate income? So you want to keep in mind that pay for item or direct sales is not the only way to make money in this economy. There are lots of other ways, and you've got to think about that as you go. So that's the business model canvas, and you should have the opportunity to fill one out based on your business or based on a practical exercise. So let's talk about the 3 stages of the lean startup process. So we start with the problem solution fit. Remember, I mentioned to you, we go back and we validate that problem. Is it worth solving? Right? Is it a problem that a lot of people have, right? You want millions and millions of people to have this problem. It's got to be very broad, and it's got to be something people will pay for. So is the problem worth solving? Does the solution match millions of people? And are those millions of people willing to pay for this solution? And why? I usually ask entrepreneurs, why would they be willing to pay for that solution? Then we look at product market fit. Forgive the numbers on the slide, they're incorrect. But then we have product market fit. So we look at whether or not the business model is valid. Can you get early sales? Will people buy it? They say, I like it, I would spend money for it, but will they actually? Right? We want to try to get some early sales. You send out some, test emails, you invite people to try, you do some things to get people using that product and spending money on that product. And then you have the power to come back to a bank or an investor at some point and say, look, we have the power of early sales. We know that we have a problem that people are having. Our solution is adequate to fix that problem, and people are willing to pay for it. That is called business validation, right? So you want to make sure you have that up front. And then you start to measure and learn from what you find out from customers. So you're getting their feedback, right? That's why anytime you purchase a product or have a service, you're getting surveys and customer feedback all the time, because businesses want to know, are my customers happy with what I'm providing them, or do they feel as though they want something else? Are their tastes changing? Are their needs changing? Right? And so that's how businesses are able to continuously build, measure, learn, build, measure, learn, right? And through that, you find out the best marketing channels, you find the best sales strategies, you find out what the people who are buying from you actually respond to and what they want. And then you have the growth stage, where you continue to refine your product and you get You get funding and you scale, which means you grow your business because you can show that I'm constantly learning from my customers. I know what they want. I've validated my idea so I can prove that they want what I'm selling, or what I'm offering. And you can get investments, you can get partnerships, you can get loans because you're able to show that I can make money with this idea. It's not just a great idea that you had and people go, oh, that sounds fun. It sounds great. Let's give you some money. No, you can say, I've made 100 early sales, right? And I can grow. If you give me $50, I can grow another 3 people. If you give me $50,000, I can grow in this way. And you have proof to show, based on the numbers that you have generated, what other people's money will do for you. So that's really, really, really important. So then that's the growth stage. Now let's get into the assignment for Business 469, the Lean Startup Assignment. So what I've done is I've separated you all into 2 groups. And if you aren't sure what group you're in, you need to go to Blackboard and look, and see which group you're on. You're going to work together to complete the lean canvas for the business problem that is noted in Blackboard. So you have full instructions there. You're going to work with your team to complete the canvas, and then your assignment is going to need to be finalized and submitted to Blackboard on the due date that is noted on the screen. So you want to make sure that you touch base with your group and make sure that you meet early, get a plan together, and ensure that you get that assignment turned in on time. Of course, if you have questions, you can always send me an email, or you can set up a meeting using my Calendly link.